Welcome to the Lead Every Day show. Our mission is to see a world well led. And our strategy to get there? To empower leaders like you to lead every day. So let's get to work.
Do you ever feel like you're struggling to keep work and life balanced, in check? Maybe that's not the right question. We're going to talk about it today. Welcome to the Lead Every Day show. I'm Randy Gravitt.
I'm Mark Miller.
And we're excited to be landing this series, this season. We got just a couple more days here of this season 3. We've been talking about questions leaders are asking to become better leaders. And it's just been so fun to have these conversations. And now it shifts a little bit from work to home to work, back and forth. Somebody asked the question, how do I maintain balance between work and home? And I'm not actually sure you can. I think there's tension here. We're going to talk about that. I'm excited to get some of your thoughts. I'm sure I'll learn something today.
Well,
and I hope you will too if you're listening.
I think it's something we work on forever.
Yeah.
And you and I have been working on it our whole lives, and I think we'll continue to work on it.
We definitely will. I heard somebody say one time that balance is, if we use the word balance is learning to live in the center of the tension. There is tension. But I don't think we're on a seesaw here, and there's one side you spend this amount of time at home and this amount of time at work, and it's the same amount of time. That's not reality.
No.
That's not, or it's not been my reality. And so there's going to be tension here. There really is. I think the better word, the word that I would use, not just balance, but I'd use the word presence. I think when I'm at work, I need to be at work. When I'm at home, I need to be at home. And I'm the guy who's going to tell you, if you win at work and lose at home, I think you lose. But I think you're going to be at work a lot, and
Right.
and that's great. And be there when you're there, and then when you're at home, be at home. And other areas, take care of your body and your finance. I mean, all kind of stuff to spend
Right.
your time on. Let's see if we can solve this and help some leaders have some practical things.
I don't know if we can solve it, but
I think we give them an idea.
I think we can talk about some ways to make progress.
So you got a way to think about this. We heard years ago from Stephen Covey. Share that. I mean, I think that's a good starting place.
So
here.
to make it very practical and very tactical, it's an illustration. Some of you've heard it. It's not new. It's probably 40 years old. In front of a huge group of folks, and I took a jar, a big pickle jar, and put it on stage. I said, imagine this is your life.
I had an ice cream bucket.
Okay, well, I had this pickle jar. It was really cool. And I said, there's a lot of stuff going on in our life. And I poured all this sand. I said, all kind of details and emails and messages, and there's all this stuff. And
text now.
Now it'd be text. Filled the jar up about halfway. And I said, and then there are these projects and these priorities that your boss has given you or you've selected. And I had these larger pebbles and
little stones,
and I poured another 20%, 25%. And I said, your life's getting pretty full. And I said, then you realize that you've got some real priorities. And I had these rocks that were about the size of a small potato. And I had written on them any number of priorities. Mm-hmm. And I put your health, and I put your family, and I put your finances, and I put your learning and development. And I had about 6 or 8 of these rocks. And I started putting them in this jar as I was calling out the name that had been written on them.
Yeah.
And of course, there were like 4 or 5 of them that were left
over. Yeah.
And I said, do you ever feel like this? And you could just feel, even though there were some language challenges, I had an interpreter, and they were going, yes, we can't do all the important things in our lives. And so I pulled out another jar, same jar, clear glass jar, and I took the big rocks and I put them in first. And then I put the pebbles in. And then I put the sand in, which filled in among all of that. And then I took a pitcher of water, and I said,
you can do water.
You can even put more in there. And when the jar
that's your trip to the store and to get the groceries or whatever.
When the jar was filled with water, the whole place burst into applause.
Yeah, that's
like,
great.
And they thought it was a magic trick. And I said, no, this is your life.
Yeah.
That if you'll put the big rocks in first, you can fit in more stuff. You just got to start by figuring out, what are the big rocks?
Yeah.
What are the big rocks? I think that's the question I would ask our audience today. what are the big rocks?
Yeah, and beyond that, not just what are they, but are they getting priority? I mean,
Well, you got to figure out what they are before you can even
right.
assess
When
it.
when you know that what they are, and you start putting priority on those, I think that's so important, because my regret, if I have regret, I would go back and say it's always around the big rocks. It's never around.
Yeah.
I missed that email, or
Yeah.
I mean now you got to answer your email. You have a system for that. Leaders to have that angst. And so I think this is a huge concept. It really is a big
Yeah.
deal for us to get this, get our head around like what really matters most. And let's make sure, if we only do 10 things this week, let's do each of those 10. And then the other stuff there'll be hundreds of things you'll do. But if you do all those hundreds and you miss 4 or 5 of those 10, or 5, or however many you have that you've identified as your big rocks, that's where regret will lie.
Sure.
And the sad thing about regret is it doesn't show up immediately. It's cumulative over time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just week after week, I don't give enough time to the things that matter most. And then a year later, 5 years later, a graduation later, and I missed it. And we can't afford to not think about this. This is big.
Yeah. And so for those that didn't hear the episode that we did on what you should stop doing, you might want to go back and listen to it, because we can all fill our calendar and our lives with so much stuff that it won't work. I mean, some people listening to this are dealing with the reality there is too much.
Yeah.
And that's when you've got to employ a different strategy.
Yeah.
So that you can do the things that matter most and have enough capacity to do the things that are required of you.
Yeah, that's so great. That's so great. So I hope as we wrap this up today, I hope you will do everything you need to do to make sure that you may not have balance, but I encourage you to have presence. Make sure you are where you are, and make sure that those big things, those things that are most important to you, the place is really where regret is going to reside if it does. You got those things buttoned up, and they're getting priority on your schedule first. They do need to fit in your calendar, and then when you're there, be there. I think you'll be a better leader for it, and the people around you are going to benefit from that. They're going to love being on your team, in your family, around your life. It's going to be a lot of fun if you get this right. If you don't, a lot of regret can be there, and none of us want that. We want to have lives that are fulfilling. We want to be the leaders that we can be. Remember, the best leaders lead every day.